Welcome back to Charlie's Desk. You know, one of the questions I'm asked most often by people is, how do you get into the union? All right? You know, joining SAG-AFTRA is an important step. If you're going to become a professional actor, you are never going to do a network television show, you're never going to do a studio picture, you're never going to do a national commercial until you become a member. It's not that easy to join, though. I mean, you can't just walk in. There's two primary ways and that people use to become eligible. First one, and by the way, this used to be the only way you could join, is you had to get a line. Here's how that works. Let's say you're working as a non-union extra on a SAG-AFTRA picture, and you're sitting at a table in a restaurant with a bunch of other non-union background players, and the director walks up to you and says, in a moment, this ruggedly handsome and disarmingly gracious, older, Irish-looking gentleman is going to walk in through the door. And when he does, I want you to lean over to the guy next to you and say, oh, look, there's Charlie. Okay, let me see you do that. Okay, you've been asked to ad-lib a non-scripted line. Now, if they roll the camera on that, if they shoot it even one time, you're entitled to an upgrade to principal performer, whether or not they use the line in the picture. Now, generally speaking, they don't like to do that for a couple reasons. For one thing, if they do, they got to Taft-Hartley you, and we'll talk about that another time. And sometimes they have to pay a fine to the union. And also, instead of you getting minimum wage as a non-union extra, you'll now be entitled to SAG-AFTRA principal player wages, which is about $900 a day, plus another 18% for your pension and welfare, so you can have insurance and retirement. And then also, when the picture goes to television or DVD or cable or foreign markets, internet, and so forth, then you're going to get residuals. Now, the other way that most people get in, and a very common way, is the 3 voucher rule. I have never liked the 3 voucher system because it's flooded with ranks with untrained and untalented people. It's also been very corrupt. One of the resolutions at the inaugural SAG-AFTRA convention, to which I was lucky enough to be a delegate, was to replace that with a new system of entry, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, here's how that currently works. Although Sacramento is not a full studio zone, it is a SAG-AFTRA extra zone. And what that means is that any SAG film that's being shot here in Sacramento, the first 57 background have to be union. In case of a television show, it's the first 21. And there are different numbers for the low budget contracts and all that. But let's say that we need 57 union players who can ride a horse, all right? Well, in Sacramento, we just don't have that many SAG-AFTRA members who can fill the requirement. So let's say that we have 40. Well, that means that we're 17 short. So we get to take 17 non-union extras, and they get to work that day as a union extra. They get union wages and working conditions, and they get a voucher. When somebody gets 3 of those vouchers, then they are SAG eligible. Okay, that means they can join whenever they want to, as long as just all they have to do is just pay their initiation fee and the first 6 months' dues. Initiation fee, by the way, in LA is $3,000. Here in Northern California, because there's less work, it's only $1,580, I believe it is. Okay. Now, the dues are a couple $100 a year plus a small percentage of what you earn. It's not bad. By the way, the SAG-AFTRA credit union does offer payment terms for people who qualify. Now, the question is, do you want to join? I mean, that's a two-edged sword. As a union member, the minimum wage you're going to get is a little over $900 a day. Plus, you're going to get overtime, meal penalties, wardrobe fees, and some other perks depending on what you're required to do. Now, only you can say when it's time for you to join. I mean, the other side of the coin is, once you become a member, you cannot do any non-union work. You can't do a PCS film. You can't do that thing for your church or for your best buddy. If you do, you're subject to being fined and suspended from the union. Now, sadly, there are some unscrupulous actors who do work off the card. You be aware, though, it will catch up with them one of these days, and they're going to pay the consequences. They're going to get fined and suspended from the union. You see, as long as they're willing to ignore their union agreements, then the producers have no incentive to become signatories. I turn down jobs all the time because I honor my SAG-AFTRA membership and my commitments to the union. Okay, I know this seems kind of complicated, and it is. So you let me know if you have any questions. Or better yet, I cover most of this in my classes at the Mosaic Acting Studio, so enroll. All right, that's Charlie again. Thanks for dropping by. See you next time.